Morning.
Hi.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. Excellent.
Thanks, Danny.
Just wait for everyone to sit down, James, and then we'll start.
Ben, you've named your team. Moeen in for the injured Ollie Pope, not Dan Lawrence. What's the thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're obviously devastated for Popey. He's been a huge part of what we've managed to achieve over the last 18 months, and obviously being vice-captain, it's a real shame, not only for us but also for him, in such a big series. And yeah, look, obviously Dan was in the squad as the sort of next batter in, but there was a few more things to consider around the team that we ended up picking.
What were those things, if you don't mind elaborating?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not going to lie that last week sort of took it out of me a little bit. So a big part of something that I had to think of is what would be the best team if I wasn't to bowl the ball this game in the worst case scenario. It doesn't mean I'm not going to bowl, but that was a huge part in the thinking about the team that we picked.
And how much discussion was there around who should move to 3?
No, not. It was pretty simple for us, to be honest. You look back at last summer, Brookie was in the squad and was the next player in, and when you've got a player like Brookie, you feel like he could slot in at any position. If something was to happen last summer, and from our 1 to 6, Brookie would have, came in any position, and we feel that Brookie's the type of player who will just take the responsibility and just crack on with it. And we obviously want to keep Joe at 4 because he's a remarkable player, and Johnny moving up to 5 was just to get him into the game earlier, and the things he did last summer in that number 5 position is quite hard to look past. So yeah, the change in the batting order was actually very simple, to be honest.
And Mark Wood in, James Anderson rested. Was that always the plan, or is that reflective of Mark Wood's fitness and James Anderson's performances so far?
Look, we were very sort of open and honest and clear with each other before the series started that it's going to be a very tough ask to ask all the bowlers to play every game this summer. And look, it's a good chance for Jimmy to have a rest up and then get ready to charge in from the Jimmy Anderson end at Old Trafford next week. But look, it's great to have Woody fit. He's firing and really ready to go this week, and yeah, looking forward to seeing him get going here.
In terms of the events at Lord's, to what extent can you use them to galvanise the group, and to what extent do you need to be aware of too much emotion?
I don't think we can galvanise as a group any more than we are, to be honest. I think there's been obviously a lot of noise around the incident last week at Lord's, but from me as a captain and from the sort of England team, I think the best thing that everyone needs to do is just move on from it. Really,
and Johnny, how is he? Is he obviously angry at the time, but has he calmed down? How is he feeling? Can he use it as motivation here in front of his home crowd?
Look, Johnny's fine, but I said before we started training, whatever you need to do as individuals to sort of get the best out of yourselves this week, just do it. And certain individuals will have different things that will hopefully try and do that. And I think we've seen in the past of Johnny that, in particular around any criticism around himself, he's always managed to do something. And whether he uses the incident last week as some kind of inspiration to get the best out of himself this week, who knows? But that's all I said. Just to every individual, just do whatever you need to do to get yourself up for this week.
Ben, I guess what's happened in the last 3 days or so reminds us that whatever happens in the Ashes, people talk about it, people notice it, and that's one of the great power of the Ashes as a series for cricket as a whole, I suppose. Along those lines, why do you think this idea of the spirit of cricket is important?
Well, it's always important, to be honest. The way in which the game is played, it's been something that has been spoken about since I don't know when, but for a very long time, and going forward it should always be as well. And look, I think I thought Brendan actually answered this particular question really well. He obviously went back to some things that he made decisions on, but he knows that looking back when now he's older and had time to reflect on it. As I say, time to reflect on it is the big thing there. That he knows that he probably would have gone about a bit different. So yeah, I think the way he answered it was very, very good.
And just quickly picking up off that, do you think then there will be some embarrassment in the Australian dressing room about that to some degree?
I don't know, to be honest. I guess that's probably a question to ask the Australians, but for me, I think it's just sort of time to let it go and concentrate on the cricket, because it's a very big 3 games for both teams coming up.
And of course, this is a ground where magical things have happened for England. What do you think is going to be the decisive factor this time in another magical thing happening for England?
Well, I think the magical thing that would happen this week is to us to win the game and keep the Ashes alive, to be honest. Don't know what it is about Headingley, but you can always look back at certain things with which has happened here in an Ashes series, and I don't know why it seems to do that, but I guess it just, I don't know, the moment sort of just happens and something happens. So we've got some very fond memories here as an England team, and I'm sure supporters have got some fond memories here as spectators as well. So I think the 81 in 2019 will probably come up at some point around the grounds.
Chris?
Ben, if feelings have been running high, the Western Terrace, notoriously boisterous place, is that going to help if they really get you behind you tomorrow?
Look, the Western Terrace is somewhere else, really. It's sort of like the Hollies at Edgbaston. It's the atmosphere when it gets going there, especially towards the end of the day, is something else. And when we're on top here, they get going with us as well. But even when things aren't going our way, they're always there with us, and it's just an amazing atmosphere here at Headingley. It always has been every time we play here, and I think they absolutely love the fact that the Yorkshire people walk out and play here. They love watching Johnny and Joe come out and play cricket for England. The old saying that Yorkshiremen say is "strong Yorkshire, strong England." So I just think they love the fact that we play big games here, and they love the fact that they can watch Yorkshiremen walk out and represent the country.
And given what's happened, it's going to make it more lively, isn't it?
I would think so, yeah.
Just one more. Your face appeared on the Australian media. Have been probably ramped it up more than anybody, even though they've been on the defensive. What did you make of all that? You with a dummy in your mouth and saying the crybaby English.
I mean, they could have picked a photo when I didn't have a beard. It might have made it look a little bit better. It's a bit strange, a baby with a beard on, didn't it? But no, look, it's actually been, for us, like it's been quite funny to see those things. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, I guess. Yeah.
Mel, go ahead.
I'm just being back here at Headingley, and then obviously happened last week at Lord's. Why is it, do you think, that you're able to do those things that you do when your back's to the wall? And is it easy to access it? Do you know how to tap into it?
I think obviously having been there in some pretty important moments in the past and over the years obviously helps when I seem to find myself in those moments. I have experience to be able to fall back on, and one thing that I find I'm very good at when I'm batting is being able to stay in my own little bubble and not sort of put any of my energies or concentrate too much on things that I can't influence or change. Obviously I was out there in the middle with the Johnny incident, and I knew what was the task I needed to do, and I just made sure that I stayed in my own little bubble and didn't let things outside of that affect me, because I knew that I just had to concentrate on what we needed to do, and at that time it was knocking the runs off and nothing else.
Is that easy to access again, do you think, it could be this week?
I think, well, the output's not easy, but the being able to understand and know when sort of those moments present itself, that I think I sort of know that and understand that, purely just through sort of game awareness and where the situation of the game is.
We'll go Malcolm here and then Louis at the back of the room.
Ben, with the spirit of cricket in mind, what did you think of the behaviour of the MCC members at Lord's towards the Australians, particularly, I guess, in Usman Khawaja's place, he felt the need to stop twice and call on security. And in a broader sense, the crowd obviously really went off and were very involved, and there's been some concerns expressed about how this crowd may react. What are your feelings about those two things and your advice to the crowd here?
Well, I think the MCC are obviously taking it upon themselves to investigate what happened in the long room, and I think they'll probably do that. I think the MCC don't want to sort of tarnish their name or their reputation in any way. And in terms of here, I mean, look, I can't really comment around what to say, do this and don't do that. I just think everyone knows what the atmosphere is like here. We know what the atmosphere is like in Australia. So, but no, I think it's just going to be one of those things where we will have the home support fully behind us.
Cheers, Malcolm. If we can take the mic to the back of the room, just pass it to Louis at the back, or if you just pass it down.
Ben, it's obviously been a big week for Johnny, and now promoting him to number 5 and letting him or keeping him as wicket-keeper. That's a big workload for anyone. Did you guys consider rejigging the team slightly differently, with where you might have brought in Ben Folkes or someone like that? And how would Johnny kind of handle going in at 5?
No, he was batting yesterday in the net, so I just walked up and said, "You're batting 5." So it's quite easy. But look, as I said earlier, that's where he performed, his miracles last summer. Johnny is someone who wants to get into the game, and we feel that he offers his best sort of things to the team when he is in the game. Obviously, keeping and batting down at 7, it's been a different role what he has last summer, but the things that he did last summer with the bat was just incredible. He did that at number 5, and yes, he is obviously keeping, but look, he's a superstar, and the quicker we can get him into the game, particularly with the bat, I think the better off it is for him as an individual, and the better off we are as a team.
Ben, I was wondering, has there been any talk in the last couple of days about whether England will approach the batting differently if Australia go back to that short ball approach they did at Lords? And second to that, if this test doesn't go your way and you are down 3-0 in the Ashes after this, will there need to be a proper a proper look at the way that you have played your cricket and the tactics that you guys have used over the first couple of tests?
Look, with any tactics that teams, throw at us, the big thing for us, and me as a captain, Brendan as a coach, and all the coaches, sort of skills coaches, is giving everyone complete clarity about how they go out and play. We don't say go out and do this, do that. What we do say is go out with complete and utter clarity in your mind. I've been in situations before where I've been like thinking, do I or don't I, and sort of second guessing myself. And when you have complete clarity in your mind, it's a lot easier to go out and implement what you want to do. It doesn't always work, you can play certain situations one way and still fail. You can play the same situation in a different way and still fail. But having the clarity in your mind as a player is something that we've really tried to do, and we feel that is the best way to allow players to go out and have confidence in the way that they want to do it. The only thing I would say is that our execution could have been slightly better with whatever way we decided to play last week. I went out with a different mindset when I went out to bat in both innings to what you would have seen from other players, but that was me going out with a clear mind around getting through till the next day. If I'd gone out any earlier, I probably would have thought a lot different about how to take it on. But I'm very clear in my mind when I go out every innings how I want to play, as is every other batter and as is all the bowlers.
Rory, last one, please.
Ben, you mentioned that last week had taken plenty out of you physically, I guess. With Ollie out, have you settled in your mind who would be your next vice captain if someone needs to step in for an hour or something and sort of lead the team?
No, Ollie Pope is still vice captain. If I do, well, be very unlikely. Oh, shit. Touch wood, I won't be off the field. But look, I've been off the field a few times and just sort of given the responsibility of the bowlers to set their fields and do what they want to do. I think they're all very aware of how they want to operate, even without me there. I find myself talking less and less now to the team because everyone just sort of gets it and sort of understands how I want us to play our cricket. With the ball, let's just think about wickets all the time. How do you need to bowl to get a wicket? What kind of fields do you need to bowl to maybe influence a mistake from the batter? So, look, if I do find myself off the field, I'll be very confident that whoever's bowling will be able to still implement the plans that I would do anyway.
Brilliant, thank you. Cheers,
Ta.
Ben.
Thank you.
UK room, we'll just go down the corridor to the next room. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you very much. It was a good one.